I'm staring at the bookstore window display and my knees buckle. There it is, Shattered Porcelain by Miranda Chen. The cover is midnight blue with a delicate teacup cracked down the middle, gold leaf catching the light. It's beautiful. It's mine. Except my name is nowhere on it. Congratulations! The bookstore clerk appears beside me, her voice bright. Are you here for the signing? Miranda Chen will be here in 20 minutes. This book is everywhere right now. I can't speak. My throat has closed. Because I wrote every single word of that book. I poured 2 years of my life into those pages. My grandmother's stories, my own trauma, my blood. And Miranda Chen, my boss, the woman I trusted, has stolen it all. Miss, are you okay? I'm not okay, I'm dying. Actually, I'm about to die. The truck comes out of nowhere as I stumble into the street, my vision blurred with tears. There's a screech of brakes, a moment of bright pain, and then nothing. And then everything. I gasp awake in my childhood bedroom, the one I left 6 years ago. The posters on the walls are faded. My laptop is ancient. And when I grab my phone with shaking hands, the date makes my heart stop. It's 6 years earlier. I'm 22 again. Miranda Chen hasn't hired me yet. Shattered Porcelain doesn't exist. But I remember everything. The first thing I do is throw up. The second thing I do is cry. The third thing I do is start writing. I have my laptop open at 4 a.m., my fingers flying across the keys, reconstructing Shattered Porcelain from memory. Every scene, every metaphor, every carefully crafted sentence. It pours out of me like I'm channeling something divine, and I suppose I am. I'm channeling my own future, my own stolen work. By sunrise, I have the first 3 chapters down. My phone rings at 9 a.m. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Jessica Torres? The voice is smooth, professional, familiar in a way that makes my stomach turn. This is Miranda Chen from Chen Literary Agency. I found your short story in Kaleidoscope magazine, and I'd love to discuss representation. This is it. This is the moment that ruined my life the first time. I appreciate the call, I say, my voice steady despite my racing heart. But I'm not looking for representation right now. I'm working on a novel, and I want to focus on that. There's a pause. A novel? That's wonderful. Perhaps I could... Thank you, but no. I hang up. My hands are shaking. In my first life, I said yes. I was so excited, so honored that Miranda Chen, the Miranda Chen who represented 3 NYT bestsellers, wanted to work with me. I signed with her immediately. That was my first mistake. I work like I'm possessed because I am. Possessed by the memory of my own future. Ghost of my stupider self. I write 12 hours a day, surviving on coffee and rage. Shattered Porcelain unfolds exactly as I remember it. The story of Lin Wei, a Chinese-American woman who discovers her grandmother's hidden life as a spy during World War II, and how those secrets shatter her family 3 generations later. It's a book about stolen identities, about women erased from history, about reclaiming your story. The irony isn't lost on me. 3 months later, I have a complete manuscript. It's 95,000 words of polished prose, and it's mine. Truly mine this time. I spend a week researching literary agents, good ones, ones with actual ethics. I query 15 agents with carefully crafted letters, including the first 50 pages. Within 2 weeks, I have 6 requests for the full manuscript. Within a month, I have 3 offers of representation. I sign with Patricia Okonkwo at Sterling Literary. She's tough, brilliant, and she actually reads the contract before I sign it. She asks me questions about my vision for the book, my career goals, my boundaries. This is your book, she tells me firmly. Your name, your story, your future. That's non-negotiable. I almost cry with relief. Miranda Chen emails me again when she sees the deal announcement in Publishers Marketplace. Jessica Torres's Shattered Porcelain, about a Chinese-American woman who uncovers her grandmother's secret life as a YE2 spy, to Rachel Zhang at Lighthouse Books in a significant deal by Patricia Okonkwo at Sterling Literary. Her email is friendly, congratulatory, with just a hint of possessiveness underneath. Jessica, I saw your wonderful news. I'm so glad you found success, though I do wish you'd given me the chance to work with you. The premise sounds fascinating. Grandmother spy stories are very trendy right now. I'm actually developing something similar for one of my clients. Perhaps we could grab coffee and discuss the market? Best, Miranda. My jaw clenches. Developing something similar. I know exactly what she's doing because she did it to me before. She's going to try to rush out her own grandmother spy book to capitalize on the trend, to ride my coattails while claiming she thought of it first. But she can't, because I'm already ahead of her. I reply with professional brevity. Thanks, Miranda. Unfortunately, I'm swamped with edits. Best of luck with your projects. Then I block her number. The next year is a blur of editorial revisions, cover designs, marketing plans. Rachel Zhang at Lighthouse Books is a dream editor. She understands exactly what I'm trying to do with Shattered Porcelain. She pushes me to dig deeper into Lin Wei's emotional journey, to make the family dynamics even more complex and painful. The grandmother's betrayal of her family to serve a greater cause, Rachel says during one of our calls. That moral ambiguity is what makes this sing. Don't be afraid to sit in that discomfort. I'm not afraid. I've lived that betrayal. I know exactly how it feels to have someone you trust take everything from you and justify it as being for the greater good, for the market, for success. My publication date is set. October 15th. Watch the ARC reviews come in with my heart in my throat. A stunning debut that weaves family saga with espionage thriller. Torres has crafted something truly special, a meditation on identity, loyalty, and the stories we tell ourselves. Move over, Lisa C. There's a new voice in Asian American historical fiction. The buzz builds. Lighthouse Books increases the print run. Foreign rights sell to 12 countries. Book clubs start requesting copies. And then, 3 months before my publication date, I see it. Miranda Chen announces on Instagram that she'll be publishing her debut novel. I'm thrilled to share that I'll be publishing Porcelain Spies with Meridian Press. It's a story about a Chinese-American granddaughter uncovering her grandmother's secret life during World War II. Coming March 2024. March 2024, 5 months after my book. The comments flood in. Can't wait. Miranda, you're so talented. Love a good World War II spy story. I screenshot everything. Then I call Patricia. She's doing it again, I say without preamble. She's trying to steal my concept. Except this time, Patricia says, her voice sharp with satisfaction. You're already in the pipeline. Your book comes out first. And Jessica? She pauses. Did you see who her publisher is? Meridian Press. Meridian is our parent company. Same sales team, same marketing department. They're going to notice. My book launches on October 15th, and it's everything I dreamed of in my first life but never got to experience. There's a launch party at an indie bookstore in Brooklyn. 70 people show up. My parents cry. My college professor who encouraged my writing buys 5 copies. A local news channel interviews me about being a debut author. What inspired Shattered Porcelain? The reporter asks. My grandmother, I say, which is true. She always told me that women's stories get buried, forgotten, stolen. I wanted to make sure this one was told. The book sells 3,000 copies in the first week, then 5,000. Then it starts showing up on best of fall lists. Book bloggers rave about it. Book Talk discovers it. A popular reader posts a tearful video. This book destroyed me. The generational trauma, the identity crisis, the betrayal. I can't stop thinking about it. That video gets 2 million views. Shattered Porcelain hits the NYT bestseller list at number 8. Patricia calls me, screaming with joy. Rachel sends champagne. My parents frame the bestseller announcement. I should be ecstatic. I am ecstatic. But I'm also waiting, because Miranda Chen has been very quiet. She breaks her silence in January, 4 months after my publication. She posts on Instagram a photo of a manuscript with red editorial marks, a cup of coffee, her laptop. The caption reads, "The author life, deep in edits for Porcelain Spies." So grateful to my incredible editor at Meridian for pushing me to make this story the best it can be. Can't wait to share Lin Wei's journey with you all. Writing had historical fiction #wit. Lin Wei, my protagonist's name, my character who I created, who I based on my grandmother and myself, who represents every silenced woman in my family. She's using her name. The comments are effusive. You're amazing, Miranda. Can't wait to read about Lin Wei. You're such an inspiration to aspiring authors. One comment, though, stands out. Wait, isn't there already a book about a character named Lin Wei uncovering her grandmother's Wub-by-Two secrets? I just read it. Shattered Porcelain by Jessica Torres. Same plot. Miranda's response comes quickly. Great minds think alike. Wub-Yubu grandmother stories are having a moment. I've been developing this concept for years with one of my former clients. So fun that multiple perspectives are being explored. Former clients. My hands clench around my phone. She's claiming she developed my story. She's claiming I was her client. She's rewriting history, making it seem like I'm the one who copied her, or at best, that we worked on it together and I just happened to publish first. I take a screenshot, add it to my growing folder of evidence. Then I start making calls. The first call is to Patricia. She just publicly claimed she developed my book with me as her client, I say, my voice shaking with rage. We never worked together. She approached me once and I said no. Do you have proof of that? I have the email exchange. I saved everything. Good. Patricia's voice is grim. Forward it to me. I'm going to loop in our legal team. If she's claiming a creative relationship with you that didn't exist, that's defamation. And if her book is substantively similar to yours, we have a copyright issue. The second call is to Rachel at Lighthouse. Miranda Chen at Chen Literary is publishing a book with Meridian in March, I tell her. Same premise, same character name as mine. And she's publicly claiming she developed it with me as her client, which is a lie. Rachel is silent for a long moment. Then, send me her Instagram post. I'm going to talk to our parent company's legal team. If she's plagiarizing you under our own umbrella, they'll want to know. The third call is to my contact at Publishers Weekly. I have a story for you, I say, but I need you to investigate it thoroughly before you publish anything. February arrives. Miranda's publication date is approaching. Her marketing ramps up. She does a podcast interview about her inspiration for the book. I was so moved by my own grandmother's stories, she says, her voice warm and sincere. These women who lived through war, who made impossible choices, who were written out of history, I felt compelled to give them a voice. Your grandmother was German-American and never left Ohio, I think viciously. I know because I researched you obsessively in my first life, trying to understand how someone could betray me so thoroughly. She posts aesthetic photos of her book cover, nearly identical to mine, a cracked teacup against a dark background. She announces a book tour. She does Instagram lives talking about the author journey. And through it all, my book keeps selling. It's been on the bestseller list for 12 weeks now. Book Talk has made it a phenomenon. Readers are tattooing quotes from it. Teachers are adding it to their curriculum. Shattered Porcelain isn't just a book anymore. It's a cultural moment, which means when the hammer falls, everyone will be watching. The exposé runs in Publishers Weekly on March 1st, 2 weeks before Miranda's publication date. The headline, Debut Author Accuses Established Agent of Plagiarism and Fraud. The article is devastating. The journalist interviewed me, Patricia, Rachel, and Doug up Miranda's entire history. They found the email exchange where Miranda approached me and I declined representation. Screenshots of Miranda's social media claims about developing the concept with a former client. A comparison of her marketing materials with my published book. Identical character names, nearly identical premise, even similar cover design. Interviews with 3 other authors who worked with Miranda and had similar experiences. Ideas discussed in confidence, then published under Miranda's name or another client's name. A former assistant at Chen Literary who confirmed, anonymously, that Miranda had a pattern of taking credit for her client's work. The article includes my statement. I never worked with Miranda Chen. She approached me once and I declined. I wrote Shattered Porcelain independently, published it in October, and only after it became successful did Miranda announce a book with an identical premise, character name, and themes. I find it deeply troubling that an agent with her influence would engage in this behavior. The article goes viral within hours. My phone explodes with notifications. The story jumps from Publishers Weekly to the New York Times to The Guardian to every book blog and book talk account in existence. The author community descends on Miranda like a swarm of vengeful wasps. Author after author comes forward with stories. She told me my concept wasn't marketable, then I saw it published under another client's name. She made me do endless revisions, then dropped me and published a book with my exact plot 2 years later. She wanted me to ghostwrite for another client and said it would be great exposure. That last one makes my blood boil because I lived it. In another timeline, she did exactly that to me. Book bloggers start calling her out. Literary podcasts dedicate entire episodes to the scandal. A popular booktoker makes a video. Let's talk about Miranda Chen and why plagiarism in publishing needs to have real consequences. That video gets 10 million views. Meridian Press releases a statement. We have been made aware of serious allegations regarding Miranda Chen's forthcoming title, Porcelain Spies. We are conducting a thorough review and have postponed the publication date pending the outcome of this investigation. Chen Literary Agency goes silent. Miranda's social media goes dark. But I'm not done. 1 week after the Publishers Weekly article, I get a call from an unknown number. Jessica Torres? Speaking. This is Amanda Reeves from The Atlantic. I'm working on a long-form piece about intellectual property theft in publishing, with a focus on the power dynamics between agents and authors. Would you be willing to be interviewed? I would. The interview is scheduled for the following week in person at a cafe in Manhattan. Amanda is in her 40s, sharp-eyed with a no-nonsense demeanor that reminds me of Patricia. Tell me everything, she says, setting her recorder on the table between us. Start from the beginning. I tell her about my first life, though I frame it differently. I tell her about being a young writer, desperate for validation, how easy it would have been to say yes to Miranda Chen. I tell her about the other authors who weren't as lucky, who did say yes, who got erased. Why do you think you said no to her? Amanda asks. I think about that truck, the moment of impact, dying with my own book displayed under someone else's name. Instinct, I say. Something told me not to trust her. The article runs 3 weeks later. It's 8,000 words of meticulous journalism, exploring how agents and publishers exploit debut authors, how ghostwriting arrangements get abused, how intellectual property theft happens in subtle and not so subtle ways. I'm the centerpiece, but I'm not the only story. Amanda found 12 other authors with similar experiences with Miranda. Some went public, some stayed anonymous. But the pattern was undeniable. The article's final paragraph kills me. Jessica Torres' story has a happy ending because she trusted her instincts and protected her work. But how many writers didn't? How many brilliant books were stolen, erased, or credited to the wrong person? How many voices were silenced? Torres's debut novel, Shattered Porcelain, is about women reclaiming stolen histories. In publishing her story, she's done exactly that. Miranda Chen's book never publishes. Meridian Press officially cancels it in April, citing irreconcilable creative differences and ethical concerns. The statement is corporate speak for, we don't want to be associated with this disaster. Chen Literary Agency loses 12 clients in 2 months. The big names jump ship first, issuing statements about different visions and wanting new representation. Then the mid-list authors follow. Then even the aspiring writers realize the association is toxic. By June, Chen Literary Agency announces it's closing to focus on other ventures. Miranda Chen disappears from social media, from industry events, from public life entirely. I don't feel sorry for her. I remember my first death too clearly, the way the world went. Dark as I realized my entire career, my voice, my story had been stolen. The way I died knowing I'd never get credit for the thing I created. She did that to me. She would have done it to me again if I'd given her the chance. She did it to countless others, so no, I don't feel sorry for her. I feel victorious. Shattered Porcelain stays on the bestseller list for 37 weeks. It wins the National Book Foundation's 5 Under 35 award. It's shortlisted for the National Book Award. It's picked up by Reese's Book Club, and that sends sales into the stratosphere. In October, exactly 1 year after publication, it becomes the #1 bestseller in the country. My publisher throws a party. Patricia gives a speech about believing in new voices. Rachel tears up talking about editorial collaboration. My parents are there, my grandmother is there via FaceTime from California, and when I take the microphone, I can barely speak. This book, I say, my voice cracking, is about women who were erased from history. Women whose stories were stolen, whose contributions were credited to others, who fought and bled and died without recognition. I wrote it because I believe every person deserves to have their story told in their own name, in their own voice. I pause, looking at the crowd. Other authors, readers, industry people, my family. No one gets to take that from us, I say. Not anymore. The room erupts in applause. I'm offered a 2-book deal with Lighthouse Books. 7 figures. Patricia negotiates film rights. A production company wants to adapt Shattered Porcelain into a limited series. My 2nd book is already half written. It's about a woman who discovers her mentor has been sabotaging her career for years and how she systematically dismantles her mentor's empire. It's going to be called The Protégé. Rachel laughs when I tell her the premise. Are you just going to write revenge books forever? Maybe, I say. There are a lot of revenge stories to tell. 2 years after my book's publication, I'm at Book Expo, signing galleys of The Protégé at the Lighthouse Books booth. The line is long, readers, booksellers, librarians, all excited to get an early look. I'm signing a galley for a young woman, probably early 20s, when she says quietly, "Can I tell you something?" Of course. I almost signed with Miranda Chen, she whispers. 3 years ago. She wanted me to ghostwrite someone else's memoir and said it would be great for my career. But then I read about what happened with you and I walked away. My hand freezes over the galley. You made the right choice. I know. She's tearing up. I'm publishing my own book now. My own name, my own story, because of you. I hug her. Right there in the middle of Book Expo, I hug this stranger who almost had her story stolen. What's your book about? I ask. A girl who time travels to save her own life, she says, grinning through tears. I laugh. It's perfect. I still think about my first life sometimes. I think about dying in that street, my book in a window with someone else's name on it. I think about the alternate timeline where I'm still dead, where Miranda Chen got away with it, where Shattered Porcelain was published as hers, and I became a footnote, if that. But this isn't that timeline. In this timeline, I wake up every morning in my own apartment, paid for with my own money, earned from my own words. My book is on shelves with my name on it. My story is mine. I get an email one morning from an aspiring writer. She's young, scared, being courted by an agent who's asking her to do just a little ghostwriting on the side. Should I say yes? She asks. I don't want to ruin my shot. I write back immediately. Your shot is your shot. Your story is your story. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. If something feels wrong, trust that instinct. You are more powerful than you know, and your voice matters. Never let anyone take it from you. She writes back, thank you, I'm saying no. 3 years after publication, Shattered Porcelain is taught in college courses. Students write papers about its themes of identity, theft, and reclamation. Book clubs still read it. New readers discover it every day. I get messages constantly. This book changed my life. I see my grandmother in Lin Wei. Thank you for telling this story. One message makes me cry. It's from a woman in her 70s. My mother was a spy during World War II. She never talked about it, and when she died, her stories died with her. Reading your book felt like hearing her voice again. Thank you for making sure these women are remembered. This is why I wrote it. This is why I fought for it. Not for revenge, though that was sweet, but for every woman whose story was stolen, whose voice was silenced, whose name was erased. I'm working on my 4th book when I get a LinkedIn request from someone named Michelle Park. The profile picture is different. Shorter hair, glasses, no makeup. But I recognize her. Miranda Chen. Her message is brief. Jessica, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I just wanted to say that what I did was unforgivable. I've spent the last 3 years in therapy, trying to understand why I felt entitled to other people's work. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you changed the industry. Because of you, other authors are safer. I hope you're proud of yourself. You should be. Michelle. I stare at the message for a long time. Part of me wants to delete it. Part of me wants to respond with acid, with anger, with everything I felt in both timelines when she tried to take what was mine. But I'm tired of being angry, and she's right. I am proud of myself. I click decline on the connection request without responding. She doesn't deserve my words, my energy, my time. She had her chance. She made her choices, and I made mine. 5 Anadamadsен. Years after publication, I'm signing books at the same Brooklyn bookstore where I had my launch party. A girl, maybe 16, approaches with a worn copy of Shattered Porcelain. The cover is creased, the pages dog-eared. "This is my favorite book," she says shyly. "I've read it 5 times. 5 times? What's your favorite part?" When Linwei realizes her grandmother stole those documents not despite loving her family, but because she loved her family, that betrayal and love can exist in the same person. She hesitates, and when she decides to tell the story anyway, even though it's messy and complicated. "That's my favorite part too," I say. She hands me the book. "Can you write something specific? Not just your signature?" "What do you want me to write?" She thinks for a moment. "Write what you would want to hear if someone stole your story." I know exactly what to write. I've lived it. I uncap my pen and write on the title page. "Your story is yours. Your voice is yours. Your name is yours. No one can take that unless you let them. Never let them. Jessica Torres." She reads it and tears fill her eyes. "Thank you," she whispers. "Thank you for reading," I say. I'm 33 now, the same age I was when I died the first time, but this life is nothing like that one. I'm the author of 6 best-selling books. I've won awards, done international book tours, been interviewed by Oprah. I've mentored dozens of young writers, helped them navigate publishing, warned them about the Miranda Chens of the world. I'm getting married next month to someone I met at a literary festival, another author who understands the strange isolation and joy of this career. We're planning a quiet ceremony with family and close friends. My grandmother will be there. She's 92 now, sharp as ever. She pulled me aside last Christmas and said, "That book you wrote about me, about us, that was real, wasn't it? Not just the history, the theft. Someone tried to take it." "Yes," I admitted, someone tried. "But you didn't let them." "No, I didn't." She squeezed my hand. "Good girl. We don't let them take our stories, not anymore." The night before my wedding, I have a dream about my first life. I'm standing on that street corner again, staring at the bookstore window at Shattered Porcelain with Miranda's name on the cover. The truck is coming. I can hear the brakes screaming. But this time, I don't step into the street. This time, I turn away from the window and walk in the other direction. I wake up with tears on my face and my fiancé's arms around me. "You okay?" he mumbles, half asleep. "Yeah," I say, "just a dream." Good dream or bad dream? I think about that, about the 2 timelines, the 2 deaths, the first one physical, the second one metaphorical, the death of Miranda Chen's version of events. Good dream, I say finally. Definitely good. On my wedding day, I receive a package. There's no return address, but when I open it, I find a book. Not one of mine, something different. The title is Breaking Point, and the author is listed as M. Park. I flip to the back cover. There's a photo of Miranda, Michelle now apparently, looking older, softer, almost unrecognizable. The bio says it's a memoir about corruption in publishing, about being both perpetrator and victim, about the cycle of exploitation. There's a note tucked inside the front cover. "You don't have to read this. I'll understand if you don't. But if you do, you'll see that I told the truth. All of it, including what I did to you. I'm donating all proceeds to a fund for debut authors. It's called the Jessica Torres Emerging Writers Fund. It's not enough. It'll never be enough, but it's something. Congratulations on your wedding." Michelle. I set the book down carefully. My publicist appears in the doorway. "Hey, you ready? Car's here?" "Yeah," I say, "I'm ready." I leave Michelle's book on the dresser. Maybe I'll read it someday. Maybe I won't. It doesn't matter anymore because my story isn't about her. It never was. My story is about survival, reclamation, justice. It's about a woman who died with her words stolen and came back to take them back. It's about every writer who's been erased and every writer who refuses to be erased. It's about me. And no one, not Miranda, not Michelle, not anyone, can take that away. The wedding is beautiful, small and intimate, just like we wanted. When it's time for toast, Patricia stands up with champagne in hand. I've known Jessica for 5 years now, she says, and I've watched her transform from a debut author into one of the most important voices of her generation. But what I admire most isn't her talent, though God knows she has that. It's her integrity, her refusal to compromise, to be silenced, to let anyone diminish her voice. She raises her glass. To Jessica, a writer who knows exactly who she is and what her story is worth. To Jessica, everyone echoes. I'm crying, but I'm smiling too, because I know exactly what my story is worth. Everything. 10 years after my first death, I'm invited to give the keynote speech at the American Library Association conference. I stand on stage in front of 5,000 librarians, teachers, and readers, and I tell them the story. Not all of it, not the rebirth part, because that's impossible to explain. But I tell them about being a young writer, about being vulnerable to exploitation, about someone trying to steal my voice. I was lucky, I say. I had instincts that protected me, and I had people who believed in me. But luck shouldn't be what determines whether an author gets to tell their own story. I pause, looking out at the sea of faces. So, I'm announcing something today. The Jessica Torres Foundation is launching a legal defense fund for authors experiencing intellectual property theft. Free legal representation for writers who can't afford to fight back, because everyone deserves to have their story protected. The applause is thunderous. After the speech, the line for book signings stretches around the building. I sign for 3 hours straight until my hand cramps and my voice is hoarse. The last person in line is a woman in her 40s with a manuscript tucked under her arm. I've been writing this for 7 years, she says. My agent keeps asking me to make changes that would make it less mine and more commercial. After hearing your speech, I'm going to find a new agent. Good, I say firmly, Mum. Your voice matters exactly as it is. She clutches the manuscript tighter. What if no one wants it? Then you find the people who do. They're out there, I promise. She nods, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you for writing it, I say. I'm working on my 10th book when I get an email from a journalist at the New York Times. Ms. Torres, I'm writing a retrospective piece about the Miranda Chen scandal and its impact on publishing 10 years later. Would you be available for an interview? 10 years. Has it really been 10 years? I agree to the interview. We meet at the same cafe where I met Amanda Reeves from The Atlantic a decade ago. The journalist, a young woman named Priya, is nervous. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I know you've probably told this story 100 times. It's okay, I say. Some stories need to be told 100 times. What would you say has changed in publishing since then? She asks. I think about that. Awareness, mostly. Authors are more cautious, more informed about their rights. Agents are more carefully vetted. There are more resources, more protection. The Jessica Torres Foundation has helped over 200 authors protect their intellectual property. And what hasn't changed? The power dynamics, I say honestly. Publishing still has gatekeepers. There are still people who will try to exploit vulnerable artists. We've made progress, but we're not done. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you'd made different choices? I think about my first life, about dying in the street, about the alternate timeline where Miranda won. Every day, I say quietly. I think about it every day. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the instincts that protected me, for the people who supported me, for the chance to use my voice to protect others. I meet her eyes. But mostly, I'm grateful that I get to keep writing. That's all I ever wanted, to write, in my own name, with my own voice. The article runs on the 10-year anniversary of the publisher's weekly expose. The headline, How Jessica Torres Changed Publishing Forever. It's a long piece, chronicling the scandal, the aftermath, the reforms that followed. It includes interviews with authors who benefited from the Jessica Torres Foundation, agents who changed their practices, publishers who implemented new ethics guidelines. There's a sidebar. Where are they now? Jessica Torres, best-selling author of 10 novels, founder of the Jessica Torres Foundation, advocate for authors' rights, recently announced she's adapting her first novel, Shattered Porcelain, into a limited series, which she will executive produce. Michelle Park, formerly Miranda Chen, published one memoir about her experiences in 2022, then left the industry entirely. Now works as a counselor for people recovering from professional burnout and ethical violations. Declined to be interviewed for this piece. I'm okay with that. Her story is hers now, mine is mine. The limited series adaptation of Shattered Porcelain premieres 2 years later. It's 8 episodes of gorgeous cinematography, complex characters, and the story I fought so hard to tell. I'm in the credits as executive producer and creator. The reviews are incredible. A stunning adaptation that honors the source material while expanding its themes. Torres's involvement ensures authenticity in every frame. This is what happens when creators maintain control of their stories. The night of the premiere, I walk the red carpet with my spouse, my parents, my grandmother. Photographers shout my name. Reporters ask about my next project. Inside the theater, I watch my story unfold on screen. I see Lin Wei discover her grandmother's secrets, see the family fracture and heal, see the past and present converge. I see my words, my vision, my voice brought to life exactly as I imagined it. When the credits roll and my name appears, created by Jessica Torres, based on the novel by Jessica Torres, I cry, not from sadness, from victory. 15 years after my first death, I'm invited back to my college alma mater to speak to the creative writing students. I sit in the same classroom where I took fiction workshop, where my professor first told me I had talent, where I wrote the short story that caught Miranda Chen's attention. The students are young, eager, terrified, just like I was. How did you know to say no? One asks. When that agent approached you? Instinct, I say. Something felt wrong. She was too interested in my ideas, not interested enough in me as a person. She asked a lot of questions about what I was working on, but didn't ask about my goals, my vision, my boundaries. What if we don't have good instincts? Then you develop them, I say. You ask questions, you research, you demand contracts that protect you. You find mentors who want to lift you up, not tear you down. You learn to recognize when someone is more interested in your story than in you telling it. Another student raises her hand. Do you think you would have been successful if that hadn't happened? If there hadn't been that drama? It's a fair question. I don't know, I admit. Maybe. I'd like to think my book would have found success regardless, but the scandal definitely gave it visibility. I pause. Here's what I do know. My book succeeded because it was good, because readers connected with it, because it said something true. The scandal just made sure people knew my name was on it and no one else's. What's your advice for us? Another student asks. I look at these young writers, at their hope and fear and ambition, and I think about my 2 lives, the one where I was erased and the one where I fought back. Your story is yours, I say. Your voice is yours. Your name is yours. Protect them like your life depends on it, because in a very real way, it does. You are not just a vessel for someone else's success. You are the artist, the creator, the one who matters. Don't ever forget that. They're writing this down, hanging on every word. And one more thing, I add. When someone tries to take what's yours, and someone will try, I promise you, don't be afraid to fight back. Don't be afraid to make noise. Don't be afraid to tell the truth. You have more power than you think. That night, I dream about my first death again, but this time it's different. I'm standing on that street corner, watching myself die under the wheels of that truck. But instead of horror, I feel peace. Because that version of me, the one who died without her story, without her name, she doesn't exist anymore. I killed her by refusing to repeat her mistakes. I killed her by saying no. I killed her by writing my book first, publishing it first, claiming it as mine. I killed her by surviving. 20 years after Shattered Porcelain was published, I receive a letter. It's handwritten, on cream-colored stationery, postmarked from a small town in Oregon. Dear Ms. Torres, you don't know me, but I'm writing to thank you. 20 years ago, when I was starting my career as a writer, I almost signed with an agent who wanted me to ghostwrite for one of her more successful clients. She told me it was paying my dues and that I'd get my chance eventually. I was about to say yes. Then I read an article about you and what happened with Miranda Chen. I said no instead. That agent dropped me, and for a while I thought I'd ruined my career. But then I found a better agent, one who believed in my stories. And I've just sold my 15th book. I'm not famous like you, but I'm published, and my name is on my work, and I have you to thank for that. I named my daughter Jessica. I hope that's okay. With gratitude, Sarah Chen, no relation. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. This is why I did it. This is why I fought. Not just for me, for Sarah, for her daughter Jessica, for every writer who comes after us. I'm 50 now. My hair is graying. My knees hurt when it rains. I need reading glasses, but I'm still writing. My 23rd book comes out next month. It's about a woman who gets a second chance at life and uses it to destroy the person who wronged her. It's called Rebirth. My editor asked if it was autobiographical. I just smiled. On the 25th anniversary of Shattered Porcelain's publication, Lighthouse Books releases a special edition. It has a new introduction written by me about the journey of the book, the scandal, the aftermath. About how one person's attempt to steal my story became the story that defined my career. The final paragraph reads, Lin Wei's grandmother stole documents to save lives. Miranda Chen tried to steal my manuscript to advance her career. Both were betrayals, but only one was forgivable. This book has always been about the stories we tell and who gets to tell them. I'm honored that I got to tell this one in my name with my voice. And I'm grateful to every reader who helped make sure it stayed mine. The special edition sells 100,000 copies in pre-orders. I'm at a book signing for the special edition when a woman approaches me. She's in her 60s, elegant, with silver hair and sharp eyes. I need to tell you something, she says. Of course. I worked for Miranda Chen. I was her assistant for 5 years, back when she was first starting out. She pauses. I knew what she was doing. I saw her steal ideas, saw her take credit, saw her exploit young writers, and I said nothing because I needed the job. I'm sorry, I say. Don't apologize to me. I should apologize to you and to every writer she hurt. Her eyes are wet. I've lived with that guilt for 25 years. But I wanted you to know what you did, exposing her, it freed a lot of us. We were all complicit in different ways. You made it possible for us to walk away. She pulls out a worn copy of Shattered Porcelain. Would you sign this? What's your name? Margaret. I sign. For Margaret, it's never too late to tell the truth. Thank you for telling yours, JT. She reads it and starts to cry. You're a better person than I am, she says. No, I say gently. I'm just someone who got a second chance. Not everyone does. I'm lying in bed that night, my spouse asleep beside me, when I think about my 2 lives. In the first one, I was naive, trusting, desperate for validation. I said yes when I should have said no. I let someone take my voice because I didn't believe my voice mattered enough to fight for. I died on a street corner with my story in a window under someone else's name. In the second life, I said no. I fought. I published first. I exposed the thief. I built a career on my own terms. I lived. But here's the thing. Both lives were mine. Both versions of me were real. The first one had to die so the second one could live. And maybe that's okay. Maybe some deaths are necessary. Maybe some rebirths are earned. My grandmother dies at 98, peacefully in her sleep. At her funeral, I read a passage from Shattered Porcelain, the part where Lin Wei finally understands why her grandmother kept secrets. Some stories are too dangerous to tell while you're living them. You have to survive first. You have to get free. And then, only then, can you turn around and name what happened. Truth is a luxury afforded only to the safe. After the service, my cousin approaches me. Is that how you feel about what happened with that agent? Yes, I say. I had to survive it before I could tell it. But now that I'm safe, I can't stop telling it. Because someone else needs to hear it. Someone else needs to know they can survive too. I'm 65 when I write my last book. It's called The Woman Who Died Twice, and it's the story I've been too scared to tell for 40 years. It's about a writer who dies in a traffic accident, watching her stolen book in a store window, and how she wakes up 6 years earlier with a chance to change everything. My editor reads the manuscript and calls me immediately. Jessica, she says quietly, did this really happen? Does it matter? I ask. I suppose not, she says. It's a beautiful book. Your best work. I know, I say. I've been working on it for 2 lifetimes. The Woman Who Died Twice is published on my 66th birthday. The reviews are split. Some call it a masterpiece, the culmination of my career. Others call it too fantastical, too metaphorical, too strange. I don't care, because the readers who need it find it. I get letters. This book made me believe in second chances. I feel like I've been given permission to start over. Thank you for showing me that it's never too late to reclaim your story. One letter from a young writer named Emma makes me cry. Dear Ms. Torres, I'm 22, and an agent just asked me to ghostwrite for one of her clients. I was going to say yes, then I read The Woman Who Died Twice. I said no instead. Thank you for living your life in a way that taught me to live mine. Emma. I frame that letter and hang it in my office. I'm 73 when I received the National Book Award for Lifetime Achievement. Standing on that stage, looking out at the audience of writers and readers and lovers of books, I think about the 2 versions of my life. The one where I died without my story. The one where I lived to tell it 1,000 times. I'm often asked about the Miranda Chen scandal, I say into the microphone. About the plagiarism, the theft, the exposure. People want to know if I regret how public it became, if I regret ruining someone's career. I pause, letting the silence stretch. I don't, I say firmly. Because my silence would have cost me everything. It would have cost other writers everything. Sometimes the only way to protect yourself is to speak the truth, loudly and without apology. Sometimes the only way to survive is to refuse to be erased. The applause is deafening. I've spent 50 years telling stories about women who fight back, who reclaim what was taken, who refuse to disappear. That's what I want my legacy to be, not just the books, but the permission. Permission for every writer to protect their voice. Permission to say no. Permission to survive. I raise the award. This belongs to everyone who ever said no to someone trying to take their story. This belongs to everyone who fought back. This belongs to every writer who knows their voice matters. I die at 87, in my sleep, in my own bed, surrounded by family. My obituary in the New York Times is long, detailed, and accurate. It mentions all 35 of my books. It mentions the Miranda Chen scandal and how it changed publishing. It mentions the Jessica Torres Foundation and the 2,000 authors it helped. But the headline is simple. Jessica Torres, author who refused to be silenced, dies at 87. My spouse finds a note in my desk drawer after I'm gone. It's in my handwriting, dated the day of my second chance, 6 years before Shattered Porcelain was published. It reads, if you're reading this, I survived, I said no, I published first, I told my story in my name, I won. Remember this when you want to give up. You are more powerful than you know. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Don't let anyone take that from you, ever. Jessica Torres, age 22, 6 years before everything changed. My spouse includes this note in the memorial service. 5 years after my death, a documentary is released. It's called Shattered, the Jessica Torres story, and it's a comprehensive look at my life, my work, and the scandal that defined my career. They interviewed dozens of people, my family, my editors, my agent Patricia, authors I mentored, the journalist who broke the original story. They even interview Michelle Park, formerly Miranda Chen. She's 83 now, frail, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. What I did was unforgivable, she says into the camera. I stole from someone who trusted me, or could have trusted me. I tried to erase her voice, and she fought back in a way that ensured I could never do it to anyone else. Do you regret it? The interviewer asks. Every day, Michelle says. But more than regretting what I did to Jessica, I regret what I did to myself. I could have been a good agent. I could have helped writers instead of exploiting them. I chose wrong, and I've paid for that choice ever since. What would you say to Jessica if you could speak to her now? Michelle's eyes fill with tears. I'd say thank you. Thank you for stopping me. Thank you for protecting other writers. Thank you for showing me what real integrity looks like, even if I learned it too late. The documentary ends with footage from my last public appearance, the National Book Award ceremony, my speech about refusing to be erased. The final shot is of my books, all 35 of them, lined up on a shelf, every single one with my name on the cover. The narrator, my granddaughter, a writer herself, says, Jessica Torres lived 2 lives. In the first, she died without her story. In the second, she lived long enough to tell it 35 times, each one a testament to the power of reclaiming your voice. She taught us that survival isn't just about living. It's about refusing to let anyone take what's yours. It's about fighting back. It's about saying no. A pause. It's about writing your own ending. The screen fades to black and my words appear. Your story is yours. Your voice is yours. Your name is yours. No one can take that unless you let them. Never let them. 100 years after Shattered Porcelain was first published, it's still in print. It's taught in schools. It's studied in universities. It's adapted and readapted, translated into 40 languages, read by millions. New readers discover it every day. And somewhere, a young writer is being approached by someone who wants to take their voice, steal their story, put their name on someone else's work, and that young writer thinks of me. They think of Jessica Torres, who said no, who fought back, who survived, who won. And they say no too. That's my legacy. Not just the books, but the permission to fight, the courage to speak, the knowledge that your voice matters, that your story is yours, that no one gets to take that from you. Not in this life, not in any life, never.